Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Graphic Novel Apostle podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ohrenberger, and I'm glad to have you back here with us for episode 2A, where we will wrap up our discussion of Criminal and just talk a little bit about a few books that I picked up this week to read along the way. As we start today, this episode will release on Monday morning of Memorial Day, and so for those of you who are out there listening, I hope that you're having a safe, a peaceful, and a meaningful holiday weekend. I especially want to send out my love to those of you who are remembering the lives of and celebrating loved ones who gave their lives in the service to this country. And while we're doing that, I wanted to take just a special moment to reflect on a friend of mine named Micah Gifford. He was in the United States Army and lost his life in the line of duty in December of 2006 to a roadside bomb in Baghdad, Iraq. I met Micah in the spring of 1999. We were both with a group of students from our college, Harding University, on a trip to Trujillo, Honduras. That country and much of Central America had just been hit with a hurricane a few months earlier, Hurricane Mitch. We were going to go down there and do some work building houses and things. And that was my first opportunity to get to meet Micah. It was a bunch of athletes mostly on this trip. Micah was on the Harding University football team where he was a defensive end. A big, strong guy. Micah was hilarious. He was big-hearted. He was the kind of guy who had just kind of a magnetism about him and that you always wanted to, be around. He just sort of drew people to him with his personality. I'm very thankful that I got to meet Micah during my freshman year of college because I had the next 4 years, even though we weren't the closest friends, just to be around him and spend time with him once in a while. And I'm guessing that his family will probably not ever get to hear this, but to the Gifford family, if you do, I want you to know that I'm thankful so much for Micah and the man that he was, and that he would give his life in service to our country. So I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day. I'm not sure how you transition from something like that to a discussion of comic books, but I do want to say for those of you who gave us feedback, and thank you so much for reaching out to me, letting me know that you were enjoying the show, that you enjoyed our discussion, and that Criminal sounded like an interesting story to you. While I'm doing that, I need to give a special shout-out to our West African correspondent, Sam in Ghana. Sam, thank you for your emails this week. Always great to hear from you. To our friend Tommy and everybody else who had a kind word to say, thank you. It's really encouraging as I'm just trying to get this thing started and off the ground and find an audience. I'm pleased to know that there are some of you out there listening and that you're enjoying what we're doing. Of the feedback that I'm hearing from people that's more substantive, some of you are saying that you really like the discussion about the books and maybe don't need quite so much of the blow-by-blow. And I'm going to try and move us in that direction. Now, the next full episode where we'll be covering That Texas Blood, Volume 1, written by Chris Condon with art and colors and letters by Jacob Phillips. That's already been recorded, and so we'll come to that next week. It's another long one. I think the discussion was a whole lot of fun. The book is just awesome. Maybe one of my favorite titles coming out, and it's on a little bit of a hiatus right now after its third volume in a spin-off series, and I'm really looking forward to the fourth one coming back, which it sounds from an interview that I heard with the author, like maybe sometime in 2025 we'll see that back. But I'll be excited to discuss it with you next week and looking forward to hearing your thoughts. So as we do these just very short, solo episodes, gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about what I'm reading week to week. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about my pull list for this past week. If you walk into a comic book shop and you've never been in before, and you talk to the clerk who's there, they might tell you about their pull box or pull list that you can sign up for. What that is if you're going to be a regular customer of a store and you have certain series that you want to collect, they have a box that they keep for you, or a space in a filing cabinet that they keep for you, where each week when the books that you subscribe to, that you've added to your pull list, come in, they put those issues aside for you. With my shop, it's a smaller shop. It's good size, plenty to offer, but it's not a huge comic book store. And a lot of the independent titles that I like to read, especially after issue 1, they might not just have on the shelves if I hadn't told them in advance that I wanted to have a copy for myself. And so even if they only order one copy of the book, I know that it's going to go straight into my pull box, and it's not going to end up on the shelf where someone else might just happen along and pick it up. Sometimes they end up ordering a couple extras, and I'm sure hopeful that some of the stories that I like so much get into the hands of other people as well. A lot of times when you sign up with a pull box, I mean, it's not only good for you, it's good for the store because they know what to order and how much of it to order. A lot of stores will also offer a discount to their customers who have active pull lists going, which is great. Keeps you coming back in the door too. Certainly keeps me coming back in the door every Wednesday right after I get off of work. So this week I had 2 books on my pull list that I wanted to talk to you about. The first is Something is Killing the Children, number 37. It's written by James Tynion IV with art by Werther Dell'Edera. They have been the series writer and artist on it since issue number 1, and I cannot think of an issue that they've ever had a different fill-in artist or writer. There's a spin-off series as well called House of Slaughter that has these same creators involved, but the individual issues are written and drawn by different artists, different writers and creators, and always exciting. In the current volume of Something is Killing the Children, instead of having a larger overarching story that's going across 5 issues, they tend to write this particular book in 5-issue story arcs. We're getting individual adventures with our lead character, Erica Slaughter. Basic idea of the whole book is this: monsters are real, except those of us who are adults cannot see them. Children can. And the way these monsters come into the world is that they manifest because of children's imaginations. And as children fear them, they grow stronger. And when children talk to their friends about the monsters that they believe they're seeing, and their friends begin to believe, the monsters themselves are more likely to become real and become stronger and pose a real threat. Erica Slaughter is a member of a group called the Order of St. George that is dedicated to hunting down and killing these monsters. And in this particular issue, issue number 37, we meet Erica Slaughter as she is arm in arm with a child who is leading her to where this monster has been. It's a large, nearly empty Walmart-type store, and she just has an all-out battle with this monster. I'm going to put a couple of pages, I guess the cover page, and then this one really, really cool splash page of Erica mid-fight with this monster that I think you'll enjoy. Next, I want to talk about White Boat number 1 from DSTLRY. DSTLRY is a new publishing company. It's only been around about 1 year. In fact, I think maybe this month it's celebrating its 1-year anniversary. This particular book is written by Scott Snyder with art and colors by Francesco Francavilla. Scott Snyder is probably best known for writing Batman. He wrote Batman during DC Comics' New 52 initiative in the early 2010s. He wrote a story called Court of the Owls that is just phenomenal. One of the best Batman stories you'll ever read. He's an all-around outstanding writer, and his ability for scripting a story is no less here than it is in any of his other works that I've enjoyed so much. And this won't be the first time that he's teamed with Francesco Francavilla either. I believe they've done a couple of projects together, but very recently they've done one called Night of the Ghoul for Comixology Originals. And if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can read Night of the Ghouls in its entirety digitally for no additional cost through the Amazon Kindle app. One of the things about the publisher DSTLRY is that all of its books that are put out are not in your regular dimensions. Rather, they're put out in what's called a prestige format. It's typically going to be oversized in length. This issue was 48 pages. I think probably all of them in this series will be about that length. The size of the book itself it's bigger than a regular comic, and it's square bound. So that is, if you look at the book on its side edge, the title will actually be printed there on the side. And instead of having a couple of staples holding it together, it'll be, I guess, glued together. So it's got a little more of a spine like an actual book does, although very thin. In this story, White Boat, we follow a character named Lee Derry. During the time the story takes place, primarily, he's, I guess, a 20-something, probably in his late 20s. He is from and continues to live in the Florida Keys. His backstory is that he lost his brother in a boating accident when he was a child, maybe 10 to 12 years old, something like that. And he's never really gotten past that. Of course, he has chosen to stay right in the same place where he grew up, live right on the water, which he had always done with his family up to the time of this boating accident. And so sort of everywhere he goes and everything he does seems to remind him of this brother as well. He's making his living now writing about boating and yachts for a small magazine, and he gets the opportunity to write about this mysterious and legendary boat called the White Boat that no one exactly knows who owns, no one exactly knows what the story is with it, why it doesn't ever come up alongside some of the other yachts, but it is a huge and glamorous-looking boat whenever there are glimpses caught of it. And so he has this mysterious opportunity where he meets an agent of the owner of the boat who gives him this invitation to come, but he can't take a cell phone and he can't tell anybody he's going. And he starts to tour this mysterious boat and discovers pretty quickly that there is a lot more than just a big glamorous yacht to be seen here. This story is going to be a horror story. It's going to have elements of sci-fi. There's a cult that's going to be coming up in the next issue. And I'm in for the ride on this thing. I think it's going to be really good. Francesco Francavilla's art is masterful. I mentioned that he did the color as well as the pencil and ink art. Color is such a huge part of his style. Everything that he does is sort of washed in this, think of a cool neon as opposed to a hotter, brighter neon. Lots of really intense work with shadows, gorgeous coloring. I'm very excited to see it, and I'm going to put up a couple of pages, just little screenshots of a couple of pages of that comic on our Instagram page as well. So please come on over and take a look at it on Instagram at @GraphicNovelApostle. Of course, you can always write back to us at graphicnovelapostle@gmail.com. I will look forward to seeing you guys next Monday morning, 5 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss That Texas Blood. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great week.